Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Twitter Academy webinar, How to Drive Your Audience to Action with Twitter. We have a ton of you online with us today, and we're really glad that you've all taken the time to join us. We're also thrilled to see how much activity there is already kicking off on Twitter about today's session. So please join in that conversation. We're using the hashtag Twitter Academy, and use that just to get into some conversations, and especially to give us your comments, feedback, and any questions that you have throughout today's session. We will be trying to answer as many questions as we can at the end. Given just how many there are of you, we won't be able to get to them all, but two of my colleagues here, Facundo and Jamie, will be out there answering questions live during the session as best as they can. So keep an eye out for them as well. They work with us here at Twitter, and they're going to be trying to get to your questions. So, quick bit of introduction. My name is Brian Lavery. I manage our partnerships for Twitter to reach out to small businesses across Europe. I'm based at our headquarters here in Dublin, in Ireland. I've given a few of these webinars recently. It's been great fun, and we've gotten great feedback, so really glad to be with you again today. Here's our agenda for today. First, the anatomy of a direct response tweet. What is direct response? What is a DR tweet? What does it mean, and what does it look like? Second, running promotions on Twitter. How do you take those direct response tweets and make them work for you? One of the most effective ways to do so is by running promotions, so we're going to go through a couple of examples of how to do that. Third, how do you monitor your progress and see if this format really is working for you, and how do you make sure that Twitter is really working to deliver for your business? One other thing that I should have mentioned just as we kicked off there, as you guys are taking in this content and as we go through the webinar, please feel free to get into conversations with each other and give each other advice. So if we cover some examples and you have some other examples that have worked for you, please chip in and continue that conversation. Now, moving on to the anatomy of a direct response tweet. Direct response basically means marketing efforts that are oriented towards urging the target audience to take a particular action. You want to prompt a particular direct response from your audience, in this case on Twitter. And that can come in a couple of forms. So I'm going to cover first just what some of those goals might be. You're most likely to be successful with your DR activity on Twitter if you're very clear about what goals you're trying to achieve before you get started. Here are some of those typical goals. First, and very common, is web traffic, using Twitter to drive Twitter users to click on a link and come back to your website. Second, and related, is generating sales via Twitter, conversions. Third, sign-ups, acquiring data and leads from Twitter users, perhaps getting people to sign up to your email newsletters, that sort of thing. Fourth is downloads, distributing content like ebooks or white papers, or getting people to download apps through Twitter activity. And finally, don't forget on-platform activity. So one of the direct responses that your audience could take could be to engage with you and with your Twitter content on Twitter itself. They can follow you. You could be asking them to retweet your content, and also favorites are another instance of that type of activity. Now, I'm going to show you an example first of what a direct response tweet is not, so that you know, just for comparison purposes, what we're not talking about, and you have something to benchmark it against. This is a brand awareness tweet. This is a very typical sort of tweet. It's quite a nice one from Rough Trade, the British record store, announcing the opening of its New York branch. So we have hashtag Rough Trade NYC is opening with a link to the New York City Rough Trade website, hashtag New York, hashtag music, and the picture itself. There's a nice piece of artwork. It's very, it's pleasing to the eye. You really know what's going on. Rough Trade is open. It's a New York City it's a New York City record store, and that's about it. It's raising awareness about the brand and about a particular piece of news. Users may click on that link, but that's not the main goal of this tweet. Now let's compare this to a direct response tweet. Here you go, a typical direct response tweet. This is a dummy mock-up that we've pulled together just from a couple of different examples, but look at how this differs from the Rough Trade one that we just looked at. Here we just have some very simple text. Need a CRM solution that feels organic to your business? Try us out free for 30 days. Click to download and a link. So I'm now going to go through this tweet and dissect it in a little bit more detail. We have a lot of text here, so I'm going to work from the top and the way down. First, the content of the tweet itself addresses a need for the customer and offers a solution. Need a CRM solution that feels organic to your business? That's the need. And then offer the solution. Try us out free for 30 days. There's a strong call to action, which is clicking to download. And then there's a direct link to a conversion page, in this case using the Bitly link shortening and traffic tracking service so that the company posting this tweet can tell exactly where the web traffic came from. Best practice may even be, in this case, to use a different Bitly link for each tweet that they put out so that they can tell which tweets are best performing at driving that traffic. Going through the bullets below, key to note, there are no hashtags or @handles in this link. You don't want to distract your users in this tweet. You don't want to distract your users at all from clicking on the link, which is the main action you want them to take. The tweet copy is written with a strong call to action and a message that manages users' expectations. They know when they click on that Bitly link, they're taking a step towards downloading something. It's not just click to learn more or click to avail of a special offer, it's click to download. Then deliver a compelling and relevant offer that piques curiosity. There's a question involved. And then harness the real-time nature of Twitter with a sense of urgency. This is a limited offer only for 30 days. You may have noticed, and this slide is intentionally blank because I just want to introduce the next piece of content first. You may have noticed that there's a bit of a format there that you may have seen before. It may feel a bit familiar. As we have studied businesses using Twitter successfully, we've seen direct response tweets follow a particular format, and I'm going to share that with you now. It's very simple, and there are a lot of different iterations of it. This is not the only answer. It's just one that we've seen a lot that works quite well. 4 parts. First, a question. Second, a solution. Third, a call to action. And fourth, the link. So this is particularly oriented towards direct response tweets where you're trying to drive web traffic or click to a download page, that sort of thing, because of the link at the end. But let's think through the tweet that we just saw. First, the question. Need a CRM solution that feels organic to your business. Second, a solution. Try us free for 30 days. Third, a call to action. Click to download. And fourth, the Bitly link itself. So let's look at a couple of other examples of this, which are taken from real small businesses using Twitter. First, one from LCN.com web hosting, a British domain name provider and web hosting company. Question, got a business idea? Solution, get it online in minutes, LCN website hosting with free web design software. Third, the call to action, find out more here. And fourth, the link itself. Here's another example from Rosetta Stone. Question, know someone who wants to learn a language? Solution, we're giving away 3 for free. Call to action, enter now into this competition. And fourth, the link. Now we're going to go into a couple more tips and tricks about what to include, details on what to include and not to include in direct response tweets. Again, this is pulled from what we have seen businesses doing successfully on Twitter. So, here we have another example from the Barista Bar. Looking for something special for Mother's Day? Treat your mom to one of our hampers for just 20 pounds. And then the link and the kicker, that's 25% off. So a couple of tips here. As I mentioned before, don't include usernames or @handles in the tweet if you want someone to click on the link. Second, ask questions. There's a bit of psychology at play here, which is one reason why I like the direct response format. You can really make subtle changes and figure out what sort of impact that has on your Twitter audience by studying the numbers. But in this case, we know that asking questions does pique somebody's curiosity. They start to think about what the answer might be, even as they start to read the next sentence, and they're engaged in the content more quickly. Third, on the bottom left, don't overdo exclamation marks. Tweets with more than one exclamation point get a lower click-through rate. Fourth, use whole pound prices, such as 10 pounds or 20 pounds in this tweet instead of $9.99 or $19.99. So we're not sure exactly why each of these factors, though it's clear in some instances, such as the usernames example, not to include them. And some of the others, we might have a guess. But generally speaking, we're not sure why all of these factors have such a significant impact. on direct response success rates, but we do know that they do have a very clear, statistically significant impact. Each of the 4 factors that we're talking about here can change the click-through rate for a direct response tweet in the double-digit percentage rates. So, and this is based on statistical studies that we've done through our users in the United States. So it's quite a significant change that can come from these factors. Now we're going to go into, move on from punctuation and formatting and into language. So here are some words, similar tips on word choices. We did a study, a large-scale study in the United States, going through what sort of words worked and didn't work in direct response tweets. We found that words like exclusive, bonus, sale, and code or gift card were successful and helped to boost the click-through rates on direct response tweets, and more successful, in fact, than words like gift when compared to bonus or free, or discount or deal when compared to sale. And promo is not as successful as code. So going through a couple of the other examples, top right, be visual. Use words like grow rather than increase. Use win or guess rather than receive, or details rather than more. For example, click here for details, not click here for more. More is maybe too generic and people don't know exactly what they're going to get. Bottom left, use superlatives. Use good, emotive, expressive language. It's the best offer. It's not just a good offer. It's amazing, not excellent. And you have the hottest new styles of the season, not just hot new styles. Finally, bottom right, be personal. Talk to your users in the first and second person. You can use we and I when you're talking about yourself as your company, and use you about your customers. You're speaking to them directly. Main point with all of these, first, is that the language choices really do matter. As on the previous page with punctuation, word choices can cause a significant statistical swing in click-through rates. And we know that from studies that we've done. However, I wouldn't want to go out and say that if we could do this to the nth degree, you would come up with the perfect direct response tweet and say, this is exactly what it looks like. And of course, there isn't such a thing. What really matters is the trial and error and the experimentation that you'll do to find the language and the punctuation and the formatting that really works for you and your business, and especially for your audiences on Twitter. So the main point that I'd like to make using all of these tips is really that you should use these as a starting point and then move on to say, okay, well, I'll try this language. Maybe it'll work for my business. Maybe I need to tweak it slightly. And as you continue to experiment, you'll find a format and the type of vocabulary that really works for you. Now, we've spent a while going through a direct response tweet, what it is, how to use it, some tips and tricks on what really works. I hope that's been helpful so far. Now we're going to jump into one of the most common use cases for direct response tweets, which is running promotions on Twitter. We have 4 different examples of types of promotions that we're going to go through. So bear with me as we go through these. We have a bunch of examples as well from real small businesses using these successfully. So first, we have coupon codes. Coupon codes are a common use case on Twitter. You can use them to drive sales and especially to increase the size of purchases from your customers. And they boost customer satisfaction, especially when they are only on Twitter discounts. We have 3 types that I'm going to talk about now. First is an online code redemption, second in-store, and third a reward action. So the first example here, from your business, for example, 2 days only, be sure to use the coupon code Twitter for 25% off sale items, and then a link to the website where someone can use that coupon code. Second, redeem your free drink at our local cafe by showing your local barista this tweet valid through a certain date. So in this case, someone could actually walk in, show the tweet on their phone to receive a discount in store. And third, the first 50 followers to retweet this tweet win 50% off our next class. So from an educational provider of some sort, winners will be direct messaged their coupons. So hopefully these are some examples that would be helpful to you when you're thinking about what you can do for your business. Here's one from sew.co.uk. Don't miss 40% off all Vogue sewing patterns with the coupon code SAVE40. Now, another example, running contests. We've seen a couple of examples of these so far, but now we're going to try and distill it down a little bit into a couple of parts. So we see contests work very well when they are managed on Twitter in 3 stages. tease, reveal, and reward. They help to deepen audience engagement by motivating your followers to participate and engage with your Twitter content. So here we go to give you some examples of what this might look like. First, tease. Want to win a new product? Get creative, and you'll have the chance to win our tweet race. And then the rules linked to on your website. So that might happen, a day or two before the actual competition, the contest is announced. Second, reveal. Announce the competition itself. Ladies and gentlemen, today's tweet race has begun. Join in with your product tweets for a chance to win, and again, rules to whatever the competition may be. And then third, don't forget to come back and announce who the winner is. Congratulations to @username, our tweet race champion and winner of a brand new product. And thanks to everyone else who participated. There are a couple of different ways you can do this. One example here, I hope they're joining us on today's session as well, is from Kilner UK. Competition time. This week you could win a set of 3 colored Clip Dot Kilner bottles. Just follow and retweet to enter. So a very simple competition in this case, where all the users have to do is follow and retweet, which is a very common and very successful use of a Twitter competition. It helps to get your message out farther because everyone who participates is retweeting your good content. You can go a step further and ask people to tweet you pictures of them using their products, for example, or ask them to contribute some of their own content that shows their engagement with your business on Twitter. Another example now. Moving on, to a particular type of contest is the Flock to Unlock. So we've talked about this a couple of times in other forums, and you guys may be familiar with it. I just want to spell out exactly how it works when you're talking about bringing this competition to life on Twitter. This helps to extend your reach by basically having a time-limited offer that only begins after a predetermined number of retweets. It follows a similar sort of format with the tease, reveal, and unlock in this case. And this is how it works. Tease. Announce the deal. We're announcing something big tomorrow. Be sure to check back at 12 p.m. for details. And then, what is the deal itself? What is the competition? The exclusive deal starts now. Get 50% off sweaters and scarves for 24 hours. Retweet and spread the word. But this coupon code only unlocks, and the deal only begins after the tweet has been retweeted 25 times. So it's only rewarding your Twitter audience once they have actually taken a direct response and a particular action, which in this case is retweeting your content and spreading your message even farther. Third, don't forget to unlock the deal. The exclusive deal is now unlocked. Use coupon code TWEET to get 50% off sweaters until 5 p.m. tomorrow. So it's a 24-hour deal in this case. It could run farther if you'd like. Here's an example of this, again from LCN.com, web hosting. I'm giving away £1 web hosting packages to celebrate their 14th birthday. And in this particular instance, they had a 3-phase Flock to Unlock, which was quite sophisticated, where additional batches of cheap web hosting packages or discounted £1 web hosting packages were released with certain numbers of retweets each time. Now, last example, last type of promotion that we're going to cover is flash sales. So this really helps to generate demand and excitement with unexpected specials. Again, the tease or the draft announcement, something big kicks off in a few minutes. Be sure to check back at 12 p.m. for more details. So this makes sure that people are paying attention to your Twitter account and looking out for your tweets before the actual announcement of the deal. Then here comes the Twitter exclusive. For the next 24 hours, get 25% off our men's shoes, available only at our company link. Finally, don't forget to remind your users that they only have an hour left in this case. 1 hour left in our Twitter exclusive sale on all men's shoes. Get yours now. Some examples to help bring this to life a little bit farther. First is one from a company that's been doing a ton of flash sales over the last weeks. If you follow them on Twitter, really interesting account to follow for a bunch of reasons, but especially for their flash sales, is Ryanair, the low fares airline. 30 minutes left. Fly from Glasgow to the Canaries for only £30. Book a Ryanair bargain, and there are only 30 minutes left in this deal. So this is a really short-term flash sale, nothing like the 24 hours we talked about a second ago. Similarly, here's Manchester City Football Club. 15% off everything online for just 24 hours. Get the deal here. So now we're going to move on to monitoring your progress. Before we jump on to the next section, just want to make sure that everyone really understands how the examples we've been going through are just examples. And these are formulas that we've seen working well on Twitter, and we really hope that you guys out there can come up with new ones as well as use these successfully. There's a lot of scope for creativity here, and these should really just be a template for you to play around, come up with new ideas, and reach out to your customers and your Twitter audiences in a new way. So now, monitoring your progress. How do you know if all this is working for you? There are a couple of ways to track this. It tends to be both at a Twitter account level and at a tweet level itself. So first is keeping track of your followers. Monitoring your progress by follower growth, because follower growth is proof of a positive customer experience. Here we see a small business based in Dublin, Funky Christmas Jumpers, has just over 10,000 followers, and they've been watching that grow year by year and month by month, and they would have particular goals about follower growth leading up into the Christmas season when they're very, very active on Twitter because it is a relatively seasonal business. A bit more you can see from Funky Christmas Jumpers in terms of retweets and favorites. There's a great story here where they have also integrated their Twitter activity with their offline marketing activity. And this is a small, scrappy startup business that's now selling online to, I'm going to get the number wrong, it's more than 20 countries worldwide. It could be significantly more than that, but I'm sure it's at least 20. What they do is try to use celebrity endorsements. If they get their jumpers onto the right rock star, then they can really bring that to life with social media. So in this particular instance, they had sent a jumper to Niall Horan from One Direction, and they managed to get a photo with the two guys from the company and Niall Horan at his home in the Irish countryside just before Christmas in 2012. So if you see the date on the bottom there, that's on the 23rd of December because he had actually lost his jumper, was upset about it, and they brought him a new one by hand. He tweeted about it, and that particular tweet got 62,000 retweets and nearly 83,000 favorites. So because of that celebrity traction, this particular example got a great amount of traffic on Twitter. Important to think, though, Niall Horan is not within the reach of every small business in the UK and Ireland, though. However, there is a lot of activity that you are most likely already involved in whenever you're out in the market, whenever you have any other marketing initiative, any other PR opportunity. How do you bring that to life on Twitter, and how do you use that to drive your Twitter activity, perhaps with some direct response strategies laid on top of it to get your audience to respond and engage in a particular way? And you can track that success through retweets and favorites. And, of course, also through replies. Just to close out that Funky Christmas Jumper example, here we have a whole bunch of people basically commenting on the product and how they like it and how they want it because they've seen that on Twitter. Now we're going to go into a little bit of analytics. So an easier way to track all this, of course, is through Twitter itself if you're in some Twitter dashboards. I'm going to show you now a snapshot of one of the dashboards that we provide to our advertisers through our self-service advertising platform, which is available at ads.twitter.com. If you sign up with a credit card at ads.twitter.com and you're advertising with us, you have access to dashboards like this one. This is from my own personal account. It shows my follower growth, which was obviously pretty flat until September, but has done pretty well since then. And it also gives me a lot of information about my followers. Who are they? What's their gender? Who do they follow? Where are they based? And what are they interested in? And that helps me to tailor if I were using this purely for business and not all for personal purposes, I could be using this information to tailor my Twitter content to reach my followers and make sure that I'm hitting them exactly with the messages that engage them most. One other dashboard, also available through ads.twitter.com, is about your tweets themselves. This is not just about your advertising campaigns. This is about all of your organic tweets. So what you can see here across the top is the volume of engagements with the tweets that you post. You can see mentions and follows and unfollows day by day throughout a month. And then below, there's a table that shows all of the tweets that have come out from my own account and how many favorites, retweets, and replies they've gotten. And if one does particularly well, it's highlighted as having, in this case, 5 times or certain times normal reach. There are also third-party analytics packages that Twitter has certified, which can help you to manage your Twitter activity and to keep track of your performance over time. So we have a bunch of their logos here. These are some of our certified partners. The full list of all of our certified analytics tools and other partners are online at business.twitter.com/Twitter certified partners with hyphens. The address is at the top of the slide here. Now, that covers our third major topic for today, and it takes us almost all the way through half of an hour. So I have a couple summary points that I'm going to leave you with. First, focus when you're thinking about direct response. Decide what metrics matter to you before you get started, and set yourself up to achieve those specific goals. Second, experiment. Try multiple versions of your tweets and refine based on what works best. There are other dashboards within ads.twitter.com which will allow you to basically track the performance of multiple tweets within a particular advertising campaign. So that really gives you some granularity in that as well. Third, give your audience a reason to act with special offers and clear calls to action. So competitions and promotions really play in well here with direct response tactics. And finally, track your performance over time to ensure that Twitter is best supporting your business. So if you don't keep track of how you're doing, there can be a lot of effort involved in all this, and you really want to be able to measure the impact that it's having for you. So now we're going to move on to questions. Please keep the questions coming in using the hashtag TwitterAcademy. And I'm sure that Jamie and Saku have been answering a bunch of them out there for you. I'm going to jump in myself and see if I can grab a couple. Let's see. There are actually a ton, so thank you for this. So first is, let's see, Kirsten at Priscilla's Attic. Hi, Twitter Academy. If you had just one top tip to drive your audience to action, what would it be? So we've been through a whole bunch of these, and my own personal answer on this is kind of a general one. It's to get in their head and to spend some time thinking about what really drives your audience. Figure out who your followers are, and then go in, click through, and look at their own Twitter profiles, see what are they tweeting about, what conversation topics tend to drive them, what sort of language do they use. So basically, study your own audience well, and then figure out what drives them, and then jump in with your own content. So let's see. Okay, so Stephen Huey, if a Twitter promotion is looking for new customers who by definition won't be following you, who are these tweets for? Well, I mean, there is a difference, of course, between customers and followers in the first case. So you may have followers who are your customers and some who are not, but I think I take your point here. You can use Twitter ads and to promote your tweets so that they are presented to people who don't follow you yet. And in that case, you could come up with a particular offer just for new customers, which would not be included in your core Twitter profile and would not be presented to your existing followers. So you could come up with a special offer just for new customers to push that out there. And that'll be true, of course, across whatever type of industry you're in, whether that's B2C or B2B, if you're in the service industry or providing tech solutions, whatever it is. So now, Smoothie Fresh says, I thought it was good to use trending hashtags to attract traffic, no? And, well, yes, that's true, but it depends what the purpose of each particular tweet is. If you're aiming to attract traffic to your tweet and to join into a conversation, then yes, absolutely, trending hashtags can help in that way. I wouldn't use them too gratuitously and just try and, I have seen some people over the last couple of days using our Twitter Academy hashtag a little bit off topic, so to speak, because they want to attract the attention of people who might be joining into the Twitter Academy conversation. But I think hashtags can be very useful in a lot of instances, not always in direct response, because that does mean that some people will be clicking on that hashtag instead of clicking on a link through to your website. We do have a lot of questions here about business-to-business services. So I promise we're going to have some more examples of that in our upcoming webinars. but I can promise you that all of the stuff that we are talking about here is very relevant for B2B as well as B2C. So LCN.com, the web hosting company that we looked at some examples from just a little while ago, they use direct response tactics on Twitter extremely effectively, and it's a pure business-to-business service. And there are plenty of other examples out there, some of which we will come back to in our subsequent webinars. So do you think, here's one from, and I'm not going to, it's hard to pronounce some people, oh, Digital, that's what it says, Digital Dave, okay. Do you think we should put links at the end of our Twitter message, making the actual message clearer? Depends on what the link is. If you, 140 characters is pretty short. If sending someone off of Twitter back to your website is your main goal, then absolutely you should have a link there. But it won't always necessarily make the message clearer. So it depends on what the message is and what your real business goal is. If you want to get someone onto your website to drive traffic there, then yes, that is the right thing to do. Some people are asking about the recording. Yes, absolutely. We're going to be sending out a link to a recording of this webinar tomorrow. So anyone who registered will receive that by email. If you registered for this webcast, you will receive a link to that recording. I think we have time for maybe 2 more questions. Someone again asking about hashtags. So a couple questions about hashtags. Rackers89, I'm confused why you shouldn't use hashtags. Surely that's how people outside your immediate following find you. Again, it's just if your goal with one particular tweet is to drive traffic to your website or to prompt somebody to download some content or to take a particular action, then you really only want to present that action itself, and limit the options that people have when they're reading that one tweet. You could use other tweets with hashtags to help to gain attention outside of your immediate following, and that can be a good idea. But once someone is reading a tweet, if you have a direct response goal in mind, then take the hashtags out, unless your goal is for them to engage with that hashtag. Maybe it's a hashtag that has your product name or your business name, or it's a hashtag around an event that you're running, and you want to generate traffic on the hashtag. If that's the case, then go for it. Otherwise, I would focus on what the direct response goal is. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for joining us. That's all we have time for today. Just 1 or 2 last things to mention before we say goodbye. First is thank you, and second is please come back. We have another webinar coming up on the 26th of March. That's a Wednesday. I'm not sure the day of the week, but it's definitely the 26th of March at 2 p.m. on driving direct response with Twitter ads. So that's kind of a deeper dive into some of our advertising products and how you can take some of the tactics we discussed today and to really promote them and extend your reach with those tactics. If you want to get started yourself, before then, you can go to ads.twitter.com, log in. You need to register a credit card to get started, but there you can have a play around with the advertising system, and that will put you in a good position to learn about what we're going to be talking about on the 26th of March. 2 other things. One is to follow our handle at Twitter UKI_SME. So that's where we tweet a lot of top tips for businesses, especially small businesses in the UK, on how to use Twitter as a business tool. So we have a lot of great content coming out of there, and of course news about upcoming webinars and other things. We also have our Twitter Ads UK handle, where we talk about a lot of our advertising business across the UK, which is a great handle to follow as well. One last and final thing, we do have if you would like to sign up to our email list and you're not already on it, I'm going to give you a link now, which is t.co/updateme, t.co/updateme, and we'll tweet that out from the handle as well, using that Twitter Academy hashtag. And that's where you can just enter your email address if you'd like to receive more information from us on these and related topics. So thank you very much. Really appreciate your time and hope to talk to you again sometime soon.